has to be the villain. Somebody has to stay angry. They tell you she's worthless while she fills every frame. They tell you he's trash while they build the whole game. Accountability wants growth, but contempt just needs a role. Your silence gets clipped and so does control. Your pain, their profit. Contempt became content. If peace would hurt the business, maybe they were selling the war. I refuse to be the product anymore.
Criticism is not hatred. Accountability is not humiliation. Disagreement does not require dehumanization. These principles are essential for healthy discourse and media literacy.
Hello, everybody. Hello. Let's get into it. There's something I've been thinking about.
Selling the gender war. When contempt becomes content, controversy drives massive engagement and revenue. Monetized through ads, sponsorships, and merchandise. Break the cycle. Seek nuanced perspectives.
We live in an era where a person can get online every day and tell you how terrible women are while making a living talking about women. Another person can tell women that men are useless, irredeemable, dangerous, or beneath them while making a living talking about men. It is, after a while, I have to ask a simple question. If these people are supposedly so worthless, why are they so valuable to your business? Because somebody has to provide the topic. Somebody has to be the villain. Somebody has to be embarrassed. Somebody has to be angry. And somebody has to keep coming back tomorrow. So tonight, we're not really talking about men versus women. We're talking about something bigger. We're talking about what happens when contempt becomes content, when humiliation becomes entertainment, when resentment becomes community, and when another person's pain becomes financially useful. Welcome to the show, everyone. Please be sure to hit the like button and share it out. I appreciate you. So, before we start, I want to establish something. There is absolutely nothing wrong with discussing dating behavior or criticizing poor decisions. In all honesty, we should be able to discuss cheating, dishonesty, abandonment, irresponsibility, manipulation, exploitation, bad parenting, abuse, and whatever else damages relationships. But there is a line. There's a difference between saying that behavior is destructive and saying women are destructive. There's a difference between that man behaved irresponsibly and men are worthless. One identifies behavior. The other assigns moral inferiority to an entire category of human beings. And once we cross that line often enough, something changes. We stop talking to people and start talking to stereotypes. The modern woman, the dusting man, the 304, the simp, the incel, the gold digger, the bitter woman, the weak man. And it's crazy because stereotypes do not have childhoods, children, fears, histories, disappointments, context, or the capacity to grow. But human beings do.
Are we analyzing behavior or building a villain?
Here's the first test I want us to use when we watch relationship commentary. What is the desired outcome? Is the creator trying to help people understand something? Or is somebody simply supposed to leave feeling inferior? Healthy accountability has a destination. You identify the behavior, you explain the consequence, you establish boundaries, you offer another way forward. Contempt does not need a destination. Contempt just needs another target. Research on dehumanization describes one important mechanism as failing to adequately consider another person's mental state, their thoughts, emotions, motive, and human complexity. Once people are mentally reduced, harmful treatment can become easier to rationalize. Online, we see this when somebody finds the worst example of a woman and lets her represent women, or finds the worst example of a man and lets him represent men. Nobody builds a viral thumbnail around a generally decent person made a complicated mistake today because nuance is difficult to package and villains are easier.
Accountability. What you did needs correction. Shame. Something is wrong with you. Humiliation. Everyone should watch us reduce you.
Why do people shame? Because from the outside, shame can look effective. Everybody laughs, the target gets quiet, somebody gets embarrassed, the audience agrees, the person may even apologize. And that creates the illusion. See why we corrected the behavior? But compliance and transformation are not the same thing. Psychological research has long distinguished guilt from shame. Guilt tends to focus on behavior. I did something wrong. Shame tends to focus on the self. There's something wrong with me. Shame proneness has been associated in research with anger, resentment, suspiciousness, and externalizing blame. More recent experimental work has also found humiliation can predict revenge, desire, and retaliation in a controlled setting. So you may embarrass somebody into silence, but silence does not tell you what happened inside them. You may have produced reflection. You may have produced resentment. You may have created accountability, or you may have created somebody who wants to strike back. That's why humiliation should not be confused with rehabilitation.
This is true, and this performs are not the same claim. This cycle of anger, engagement, and reinforcement drives behavior. Mind Chaos Brew.
And this leads to an uncomfortable question. What if changing the person was never really the objective? Humiliation can fail as rehabilitation while succeeding tremendously as entertainment. It's only entertainment. A person being calmly educated is not always spectacular. A person being embarrassed gets clipped. A heated argument gets reposted. Somebody gets thrown off a panel, and now everybody has an opinion. A 2026 Nature registered report found engagement-based feeds amplified intergroup, moralized, emotional, and toxic contents relative to reverse chronological feeds. That does not prove every controversy is deliberately manufactured, but it tells us something important about the environment in which creators learn what performs. If your harshest content repeatedly gets your biggest response, there can be pressure to become harsher. Eventually, the creator may learn something. Not necessarily, this argument is correct, but this argument performs. Those are not the same thing.
Common values build community. Common enemies build tribes. Forces that shape our world.
This is one of the most important points tonight. When a creator publicly humiliates a woman and says, women need to hear this, maybe women are not actually the primary audience. Maybe the men watching are. When someone humiliates a man while saying, men need to hear this, maybe men are not the product. Maybe the emotional reward being provided to the women watching is the product. Public humiliation can give an audience something, someone to feel superior to, someone to blame, someone to laugh at, someone who confirms what they already believe. Excuse me one moment. That can create community. But community built around a common enemy is not the same as community built around common values. One asks, what are we building together? The other asks, who are we against today? And y'all give me one moment, please.
Budget, dream over the kids, hold space for the healing that our parents hid. Laughter our seasoning, joy our daily bread. Turn hard days to honey when we share the same bed. Add forgiveness like oil, let it soften the fight. Keep courting each other from morning to night. This the recipe for forever, baby, written in our melon. Communication, the flower, trust the sweet cinnamon. Flexible roles when the world shift away. Money managed.
A disagreement sparks a public response, followed to a counter-response brings in allies, and audiences pick sides. Clips circulate, fueling a live stream panel and another response. Are we solving the conflict or franchising it?
Now we arrive at something people who spend enough time online recognize immediately. Beef content. Gender war content and traditional internet beef can operate very similarly. A disagreement starts between two people, and instead of those two people resolving it, suddenly everybody needs to participate. Tag her, send this to him. Where are the women? Where are the men? Why has that creator not responded? Everybody needs to speak on this. And suddenly, the original disagreement has become an ensemble production. Family systems psychology uses the term triangulation when tension between two people draws a third party into the retaliation system. Social media beef is not identical to family triangulation, but the concept gives us a useful way to think about conflict that expands by recruiting additional people. What was once an argument between two people can become 6 creators, 4 live streams, 20 reaction videos, hundreds of community posts, and thousands of strangers emotionally invested in a disagreement they were never present for. At some point, we have to ask, are we solving the conflict or franchising it? Sometimes resolution becomes financially inconvenient. If everybody sits down Tuesday morning and settles it, what are we live streaming Wednesday night? Sometimes calling attention to something is completely appropriate. Sometimes witnesses are necessary. Sometimes communities legitimately need to address misconduct. But there is a difference between seeking accountability and continuously recruiting spectators. Healthy conflict may occasionally need witnesses. Entertainment beef needs an audience.
Do not confuse participation with purpose. Am I helping or supplying engagement?
This is where viewers have power. Someone says everybody needs to speak on this. No, Sometimes everybody does not. Sometimes the people involved need to handle it. You do not have to carry messages. You do not have to tag the next creator. You do not have to attack somebody you've never met. You do not have to choose a team. You do not have to give your emotional energy to every conflict that appears on your timeline. Jesus. But before somebody recruits you into their battle, ask, am I helping solve something? Or am I supplying the content? Because, baby, sometimes your anger is free labor. Your comment boosts the conversation. Your share distributes it. Your reaction expands it. Your outrage becomes marketing, and you never get paid.
If the problem disappears, what happens to the product? Healed people do not need a daily grievance dealer. The future belongs to those who create, not complain.
Now, let us follow the money carefully. I'm not claiming controversial content automatically equals profit. Attention and monetization are not identical. And creators have different revenue structures. Hit the Cash App, hit the Super Chat, become a member, hit the like button, buy the iTunes, get the merch, all of that. The responsible argument is this: attention creates opportunities to monetize grievance. Advertisements, memberships, super chats, merchandise, affiliate products, courses, coaching, paid communities, appearances, sponsorships, off-platform donations. So eventually, we have to consider a structural problem. What happens when the creator's income becomes attached to the audience remaining angry? Suppose your entire channel is modern women are destroying relationships. What happens if your male audience develops healthy relationships, stops obsessively monitoring women, and moves on with life? Suppose your entire platform is men are trash. Well, what happens if your female audience develops healthy boundaries, meets decent men, and stops needing daily confirmation that men are terrible? Mm. Mm. Healed people do not need a daily grievance dealer. A genuinely educational creator should be willing for you to become healthier, more discerning, more independent, and less emotionally dependent on the content. A grievance economy can create the opposite incentive. Now, I want to make a comparison carefully because words matter. Now, I am not calling internet commentators pimps, okay? I'm not alleging sex trafficking. I'm not equating online commentary with coercion, trafficking, or prostitution. I am talking about a resemblance in extricative economic logic. Degrading a group while deriving value from repeatedly placing that same group at the center of the product. A creator says women are worthless, but women provide the clips, the topics, the thumbnails, the outrage, the panel discussions, the reaction videos, and much of the attention around which the content operates. And my question becomes, if she's so worthless, why is she your product? If women disappear from your subject matter tomorrow, would your business survive? The same contradiction can exist in content built around contempt for men. Men are useless, followed by 3 hours centered on men. If somebody truly has no value to your life, why have they become the center of your identity? The point is not criminal equivalence. The point is the contradiction. Devalue the person, extract value from the person.
Stereotypes save us the trouble of knowing people. Humanity says, "Tell me who you are."
And this is where I refuse to play the team game. Misogyny is wrong. Misandry is wrong. Okay? Saying both does not require pretending the two have identical histories, identical social power, identical prevalence, or identical consequences. They do not have to be historically symmetrical for contempt to be morally corrosive. A 2026 meta-analysis of 257 experimental and non-experimental studies found an overall association between exposure to misogynistic media and greater hostility towards women. That should concern everybody because media does not merely reflect attitudes. Repeated exposure can participate in shaping what people perceive as normal. But if our answer to misogyny is fine, then let us teach women to hate men, we have not healed anything. We've simply changed uniforms. Misogyny says, your womanhood tells me everything I need to know about your character. Misandry says, your manhood tells me everything I need to know about your character. Humanity says, tell me who you are. Gendered hatred steals curiosity. And without curiosity, there is no intimacy. You cannot genuinely know someone when you've already decided you understand. You may say, what do we lose? Friendship, marriage, healthy courtship, community, cooperation, empathy, the ability to raise sons without teaching them that women are enemies, and daughters without teaching them that men are inherently disposable. We lose the full human experience. Like, what?
Would you say it if they were sitting beside you? Would you say it face to face? Think about your words.
There's another psychological concept we're remembering: the online disinhibition effect. Psychologist John Suler describes factors such as anonymity, invisibility, and reduced authority that can make people express themselves more intensely online than they would face to face. Imagine saying in the comment that you're typing while sitting 3 feet away from that person, or their mother, or their spouse, or their child. Like, child, would the language change? If it would, maybe the screen is not revealing courage. Maybe the screen is removing restraint. Those of us who identify as Christians have an additional responsibility. We do not get to claim righteousness simply because the person we are humiliating actually did something wrong. Proverbs teaches that a gentle answer can turn away wrath. James tells believers to be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger. Galatians describes restoration with gentleness. Ephesians warns against corrupt communication and tells us to speak in ways that builds others up. Matthew reminds us to examine ourselves before becoming consumed by the faults of others. Now, that does not mean that Christians cannot criticize. No, 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 no. Scripture contains strong correction, but biblical correction has a purpose beyond spectacle: restoration. So the test becomes, do I want this person restored, or do I want them destroyed? Because if secretly I do not want them better, I just want them beneath me, then we've moved from correction towards pride. And pride can wear religious clothing too. Booker T. Washington wrote that he would permit no man too narrow and degrade his soul by making him hate. That idea belongs here because hatred does not only diminish the person we hate, it can diminish us. It can shrink our personality until our enemy occupies more emotional space than our dreams do. Frederick Douglass offered another principle: unite with anybody to do right and with nobody to do wrong. That gives us permission to refuse permanent teams. If a woman is right, she's right. If she's wrong, she's wrong. If a man is right, he's right. If he's wrong, he's wrong. Truth absolutely does not have agenda. So, what do we replace all of this with? Not silence, not fake positivity, not pretending harmful behavior does not exist. Better accountability. Criticize behavior specifically. Stop turning one person's conduct into an indictment of millions of strangers. Do not weaponize somebody's body, somebody's age, their fertility, their income, relationship status, sexuality, or appearance because you dislike their argument. Everybody doesn't want you, so your opinion on them is never going to make you win an argument. Do not diagnose strangers from clips. Do not recruit audiences into interpersonal disagreements unnecessarily. Stop confusing humiliation with education, would you? And stop assuming an apology proves that healing happened. Sometimes somebody apologizes because they understand. Sometimes they apologize because they want the room to stop attacking them. And those are not the same thing. On the receiving side, you do not have to pretend trust was restored simply because the word sorry appeared. Forgiveness, reconciliation, trust, and access are different decisions. Healthy repair requires more than words. It requires change behavior, boundaries, time, and sometimes distance.
Informing me or inflaming me? Behavior or humanity? Are there solutions? Would resolution end the series? Am I helping or supplying engagement?
Creators are responsible for what they produce. Audiences are responsible for what we reward. Every time we click, we vote. Every time we share, we distribute. Every time we send a hostile clip to somebody and say, you have to respond, we may be extending the life of the conflict. So before participating, ask 5 questions. Is this informing me or inflaming me? Is somebody's behavior being criticized or their humanity? Does this creator ever offer solutions? Would resolution destroy the content series? Am I helping or am I supplying engagement? That last question matters because your attention has economic value. Spend it like it does. Anyway, y'all.
Selling the gender war. Your pain, their profit. Choose discernment over contempt.
Men are not content categories before they are human beings. And women are not content categories before they are human beings. Some women will hurt people. Some men will hurt people. Some women will lie. Some men will lie. Some women will exploit. Some men will exploit. And some of the most beautiful acts of loyalty, sacrifice, protection, friendship, and love you will ever experience will also come from men and women. Humanity is complicated. That is, in fact, what makes it human. I refuse to let an algorithm convince me that half the human race is my enemy. I refuse to let somebody else's business model teach me who I should hate. I refuse to allow somebody to reduce my capacity to love because resentment performs well online. Because ultimately, the opposite of misogyny is not misandry. And the opposite of misandry is not defending men by degrading women. The answer is humanity. Accountability with humanity. Boundaries with humanity. Truth with humanity. Disagreement with humanity. And yes, sometimes walking away with your humanity. Because if peace would destroy somebody's business model, we should probably ask whether that business was ever really selling healing. Maybe they were selling the war. But before you leave, I want one thoughtful answer in the comments. The question: when does accountability cross the line into humiliation? Do not name creators. Do not attack anybody. Just talk about the behavior. Let us prove that difficult conversations do not have to become destructive conversations. Now, I want to thank all of you that have joined me tonight. As you can see, this is part of the new flagship series on the channel, Selling the Conflict, where we're going to be doing the deep dives. It's going to be every Monday at 5-ish. I think 5 o'clock was a bit ambitious. So, 5-ish, 5:30-ish, whatever. I'll be on my nonsense. But let me say hello to everybody that was here and that showed support today because I really do appreciate it. Shout out to Almond Eyes. Shout out to Lorna Williams. Shout out to Cowboy Ra. Shout out to my good sis Treese. Shout out to P, the panel killer. Shout out to Miss T Pre. Shout out to Miss Oshun, sister from another mister. Shout out to Dr. Still. Shout out to the best I can be. Shout out to YouTube Unfolded. Shout out to Lisa Carter. All right, Miss Carter, Miss Carter. Shout out to Rogue C. Yes, okay. Yes. Shout out to Almond Eyes. Okay. Yes. Shout out to my hubby. All right. Shout out to Candy Cane. Thank you for coming to the live. I definitely appreciate that. Oh, shout out to Drama. Thank you, DJ Drama. Shout out to Lisa for becoming a new member. Yes. Okay. Oh, shout out to Bad Doug. Hey, Bad Doug. Shout out to Bad Doug for the $5 holla. Misogyny is bad, but let's be real. You know what? And I'm not. Shout out to me for not responding to that when I was in on a roll. It's Bad Doug almost got me. Shout out to El Cheapo. Thank you for showing up. Shout out to April. Hey. Hey. Shout out to Slander God. Thank you for being in the building. I appreciate that. All right, guys. Thank you for being here with me. I do have some entertaining things coming up. Please make sure you guys also subscribe to Cover. Cover is a channel where we're just going to be going live, more freestyle and more engagement. But this is most assuredly our corporate channel. And, I appreciate y'all. Really, I do. Anyway, y'all, fly free because it's a privilege. We about to get out of here. Take care. Oh, make sure you go follow the Petty LaBelles on iTunes. I know it's just AI music, but I do a lot of fun things with the AI. Come check me out.
Somebody has to be the villain. Somebody has to stay angry. They tell you she's worthless while she fills every frame. They tell you he's trash while they build the whole game. Accountability wants growth, but contempt just needs a roll. Your silence gets clipped and so does control. Your pain, their profit. Contempt became content. If peace would hurt the business, maybe they were selling the war. I refuse to be the product anymore.